Was DOGE helpful?
It was. Yeah, it was. And I mean, look, DOGE continues within the White House and within the executive of the country. I mean, look, there's a lot of ways in which we are wasting the American people's money.
Yeah.
Sometimes spending it on crazy stuff. Sometimes spending it on like actually counterproductive stuff. I think DOGE has saved already at least 170, maybe $200 billion. Hopefully it's going to save more. But yeah, I think it was very
so
worthwhile.
Much money. How
that's
could
a ton of money.
How would you not even notice that? If that much money,
there's so much I could tell you about this. Okay, so one of the crazy things we all figured out like first week or so we're in the White House, okay, is there was a payment that should be stopped because the president signed an executive order to stop a payment. And this is like day one of the White House. We're like, okay, how do we stop this payment? Yeah. Because somebody's trying to make this payment. And nobody knew where like the computer was that actually wired the money from the U.S. taxpayer to this entity.
God.
So dude, the amount of waste and the amount of just grift in the federal government was off the charts. It's still, it's getting better, but there's still a lot more I think we can find.
Who was getting it? I don't know. I don't know one person that was getting something extra. I don't think. Well, or unless everybody was slurping.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were slurping. Man, you look at what. So, for example, there are all these humanitarian programs that we have where we send money for people, for medicine, for food.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but like I think like what I thought before I got in the government, what most Americans think is okay. So we send $100,000 to this group to buy food for like poor kids in Africa, okay? And what actually happens is it's not $100,000 that go to the food for the poor kids in Africa.
Right.
That the NGO, the non-government organization that gets that money, contracts it out to somebody else.
Right. So
and
there's
then
a
they
middleman.
subcontract it out to somebody.
There's
like 3 or 4 middlemen.
Oh.
And what Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State, he's a very good friend. What he told me is that his best estimate after he had his team look at it is that 88 cents of every dollar was actually being collected by middlemen.
No way.
So every dollar we were spending humanitarian assistance, 12 cents was actually making it to people who needed it. That's crazy. So there's a lot of waste, man, a lot of crazy stuff.
So Elon was putting in a lot. Was Elon doing it for free all that time?
He was doing it for free. Yeah.
He was doing it for free.
He was doing it for free. I mean, he doesn't need money, right? That's the one thing Elon does not need.
So was he? I wonder if he was expecting anything from Trump and they just couldn't figure it out. I don't know. I'm just curious about it. I'm kind of like, you start to see how all this stuff kind of works, and just like it's like.
Yeah, I hear. I really do think he's disappointed about the bill. He's he disagrees with some of the things that were in there. He's an emotional guy. Look, it happens to everybody. I've flown off the handle way worse than Elon Musk did in the last 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
But my hope is comes back, says, look, made some mistakes. Didn't mean to say everything. Let's smooth it out and let's all be friends. Because again, like I care about the country, and I think the country's better off if under the president's leadership, Elon's helping us out as opposed to fighting the administration. I don't want him to fight the administration. I know the president doesn't want that, but here we are.